Hello, YouTube. Why does somebody beep right when I'm trying to do a video? It's like, hello, YouTube, bling. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Okay. Hello, YouTube. This is a video I have been needing to do, dreading doing, not sure how I was going to approach it, but the long story short is I have joined the ranks of the unemployed. And I knew I was going to be joining the ranks back in November, but because of wanting to not breach confidentiality, I didn't really tell anyone until I knew the last day for sure. So for the past 4 months, I've been at a job for about 7 years, and I passed my 7-year anniversary before my final day. And our company, long story short, was kind of sort of bought out, and my department went away, and the other department I kind of helped went away. The new one already had that, and it wasn't here where I was at. So, and it wasn't remotable. So I knew that I was going to have to venture out into the world, and job hunting has changed in 7 years. So there was a lot of stuff I had to catch up on, because I felt like I was in Camelot. I did not have any plans. I am not a job hopper. I hate job hunting. I hate it. So, but it's something one has to do, and one should go into it well prepared. So I was given enough of a severance package that I felt like that I should keep my eyes focused on finishing out my job, doing everything I needed to do to make sure that my soon-to-be former coworkers would be in a not-so-horrible place. I wanted to try to get everything I could do done, and there was a lot of stuff to do to help with the transition. So that's all I'm going to say about the old company. When you're I will say that when you're woven into something, I think it made it easier to transition that I'd been working from home for 2 years. So the people that I was, close to were physically distant, and I wasn't getting to know any new people that came in. So it was less dreadful in that regard. My main focus was, this is a good opportunity for me to transition to something else. There are fields that I've been looking at, and I'm very, very, very analytical. I like to look up all the information. I like to look up all the data. In my old job, I spent my nose buried in Excel spreadsheets, pulling in data from many sources, compiling it, putting it in a format that was easy to understand, and that is my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is not people. I am extroverted and I can talk to people, but I really like crunching the numbers and pulling data and analyzing things and asking questions and looking for patterns or looking for common denominators. That is where I shine. That is where things just jump out at me. I can find stuff. So to do that and not be I make enough to survive. I have to be extremely frugal. That's why I have all these frugal videos. But I would like to not have to be frugal. I would like to make more money. And in all of my analysis out in the world, looking at, what is the future with technology and everything, obviously programming. Programming is the big dog. That's where the money is. And there are fields that I could do very well in programming. I would probably go into databases. That's where I'm at. Anyway, I'm basically an underpaid, minimally skilled, pull things out of the thin air I use what I have around me. I'm like a frugal database manager in a sense. So I need to go and learn a language. I need to learn the basic skill sets to get me in somewhere. So I am going to be working on one or two languages that I've selected that I feel like have the most potential. And I have a couple of friends. I have several friends who do programming, but I have one that is helping me out that has sent me some educational materials and pointed me in the direction of several websites. And I've had several other friends say, check this out, check that out. So I have a list of stuff to study on my own. Once I get a few more ducks in a row, I am going to be looking for a boot camp or see if I can qualify for schooling through the unemployment program. So I did not find out until 4 days from my final date what my final date was. So I ended up having to I was literally working right up until the last minute until they cut my access off. And then I sent emails out saying, this is what's left. I only had one thing left I didn't get. So I was very proud that I got 99.9% of everything done. And I then was left with this waiting for the last paycheck because you needed that information to file unemployment. So I was trying to log in, and I was trying to navigate the website, and I couldn't get my access. And evidently the last time I'd filed unemployment was when ancient times. Did not have the same email. Had to go through all of that business. Had to navigate their website, which I'm going to read a little list of areas of improvement that could be made on the Tennessee website, the Jobs for TN website. One of the things is all of the pages look exactly alike, and you feel like you're in a house of mirrors. You feel like you're going around in circles. There is, if you cannot get in a hurry, you need to read every page. You need to scroll up and scroll down, because many of those pages, when you hit the next button, if you're trying to go through the forms, they take you to the next page, but they take you to the bottom of the next page, and all of the footers look alike. There's like a really big header area with a lot of information. There's a really big footer area with a lot of information, and it's often the next button. So you hit the next button, and you're not sure if you went to the next page or not, unless you scroll up and carefully look and say, does this look different? So I was just booting myself out several times in a row. Could not figure out why things weren't moving forward. And until I got the clue back. So that's my one formatting comment on the website. It is very difficult to figure out where to go for help. The chat bot kind of sort of helped. And I basically had to go through all of these options to see what worked and what didn't. And eventually I got through to their help desk, and there was a very sweet girl who emailed me back and forth, and we got everything straightened out. And I had to send her like a gazillion things to show that I was really, really me. And we got it all straightened out. I was so happy. It felt like if you've ever played D&D, it felt like a huge quest to, and being able to sign on was the pot of gold. So I had this huge dopamine rush when I finally was able to get through. And there are things that you can't see or access until you're registered properly. So long story short, I was having to like go back way back and pull like old files and get hints of which email address was it, because I had two, and it was a long journey, let me just say, and there was a lot of frustration, and my friends got to hear me fuss for about a week about it. And but I got through. I filed my claim and I sent in information. There may be one other thing I need to do. I'm taking a break right now. I just had to stop and breathe. So that has been my journey up to now. And I've been kind of like trying to find every ancient old resume that I ever had, because I'm old, y'all. I've been working since I was 16, 16 was piddly little jobs. Like my first job, I think that was like taxable, not babysitting type stuff was I worked a summer as a maid when I lived in Florida. It was like filling in. It was about 6 weeks. Chemicals suck. It was horrible. But I mean, I've been working. My senior year of high school, I did a study program because I had my foreign language classes and I just wanted to start working. And I should have just taken more math. I should have sucked it up and taken more math. It would have saved me a lot of time. Because now I'm still haven't taken some of those classes. So I took some anyway. I wish I could edit that out. I've not resubscribed to my editing software, so this is going to be raw. So I'm going to try to pull myself back when I get on a tangent. Anyway, I've worked all my life. There's a lot of work history there. And I think what I would like to do is get it all in one place. I kind of have my early years resume and my when I was married, middle years resume. And then the last resume I did was 7 years ago, so I have to add all my current information on it. I tried to scramble and find and do kind of summaries. So I want to just try to pull it all together, and I think I'm going to put it in a spreadsheet. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have it to where I can just like pull out stuff and cut and paste and have this nice little spreadsheet that I can pull from. Anyway, and then I'm probably going to have some sort of text version in case I have to do anything on my smartphone. So, and I also got a new phone. So I'm like, and I needed some updated software for home, and it's just I had to like kind of set up shop so I could like really do this. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Now, I've complained about the things I didn't like about the Tennessee for Jobs website, but the thing I really like is, job hunting, interviewing, resumes, focusing on skills rather than jobs and positions. There are a lot of paradigm shifts that have happened in the job hunting world since the last time I was job hunting. Nearly everyone has gotten smartphones since then. There are apps available. There are the explosion of YouTube. I've got a list here of points that I'm going to go through and mark. I talked about how I hate job hunting. I talked about the different emails I've had over the ages, and I would really recommend just trying to keep an email address that you can keep forever. That's not going to change if you move somewhere else. Something super permanent that's secure, and doing that. And there is a Apple versus PC thing, and Google has emerged with Google Docs and their version of I'm a PC girl and I'm a Microsoft girl. So my background is Word and Excel, and I still have not embraced Google Docs. I've kind of sort of used it with some clubs and organizations, but I just did not realize how few people that are not admin business oriented do not have access to Microsoft Word or Excel, that they just don't have that software. And a lot of people have really started using Google Docs. So I feel like it would behoove me to be ambidextrous in that regard. So that's something I'm wanting to develop, is just to fill that out a little bit. I avoided Zoom, and I was very lucky. I only had to do like a handful of Zoom things. Our neighborhood associations do a lot of Zoom meetings, but you can just sit back and shut up if you want and not get involved. I've never gotten sucked into running one. Some of our other clubs, they've had people who have learned to really become Zoom gurus on that. I did not take advantage of that. That might bite me in the rear end now. And I would say, if you were ever going to be out job hunting, maybe you should get a few of your friends and take turns practicing how to run a Zoom meeting or run a Zoom chat room. It's something that I wished I had done. And I say that if you're in an administrative field. I'm in the clerical admin, project manager type wheelhouse. And when I started looking at the jobs in my field, there is now an expectation for some of these locations of, oh, if you could run our website, that would be really great. I'm a secretary. Why do I have to do programming? Well, I guess if I have to do programming, I'd better learn programming. And if I'm going to learn programming, I'm going to go for the programmer job and leave the secretary job in the dirt. So be careful what you ask for, because we may leave you in the dust. That being said, I probably just bit myself, because when this YouTube video posts, if somebody sees it, they're going to say, oh, don't hire her because she's going to learn programming and leave us behind. Well, evidently that's what all the millennials do anyway. They job hunt every 2 years. And I'm just like the tortoise. I just want to dive deep and work on what I'm working on and just do this. But that's, like I said, I'm not doing myself any favors. So, got to learn to Google spreadsheets. I've got to learn Zoom. I've got to learn interview skills. That's going to be fun. The best interviews I've ever had are when I've just clicked with the other person, when I've met a kindred spirit. And it's either a match or not. So maybe I shouldn't put too much worry in it, because the ones where I've been a match, I've really enjoyed working there. So I'm very interested in finding a good cultural fit. It would probably be best for everyone. So I need to find fellow geeks and nerds, or number crunchers, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I want to compliment, going back, refocusing, I do want to compliment all the resources that they have on the website and their job center. I went in there because I had to be in that part of town. I was struggling with the passwords, and I was going to go there to see if I could get any help. And I was there when my email came through, getting the ball rolling on getting my sign on. So I only got to spend a little bit of time there, but they had a room full of computers. Like, if you do not own a computer and you need to work on a resume, you can go in there and you can work on a resume. They have people to help you with resumes, with interviews. The computers, they have a few of them, like there'll be one over here that's computer one and one way over here that's computer two. So there's social distancing. So even though you're in this large room, you're not going to be like right next to somebody trying to type. They're going to be like halfway across the room. So you have some breathing room and space. Some of the people were wearing masks. Some of the people weren't. I'm vaccinated till the cows come home. And this is kind of the springtime dip when cases are extremely low right now. So I did not wear a mask. Anyway, but I was a mask wearing fool this whole pandemic. Trust me, until this last surge finished, I was on it. So anyway, the ladies there, and the gentlemen there, were very helpful. They were very polite. It's kind of library quiet. And don't do voice to text, because they'll call you on it. They did that on me. I have been at home working for 2 years, so I have lost my manners. That's the other thing I need to work on. I need to work on talking out loud, because it's just been me and the cats for the past 2 years. That's been me. So I have to learn how to behave in public again. I need to go to charm school, evidently. That's what I feel like. I feel very self-conscious. And so my job has always been very isolating, where I'm working on things rather than people. And one of the reasons I've had this YouTube channel is to practice speaking, composing thoughts in my head and getting them out my mouth. I noticed that, so it's quiet there, focusing back. It's quiet there, and there are helpful people, and they have a ton of resources. Like, if you are in a situation where you are broke or homeless, they have entire printouts of resources you can go to for all sorts of help. They have, I mean, there's just a ton of, I grabbed a handful of brochures, things that I thought might be useful. There is a program where you can go back to school and build some skills if you need it to pivot, which I feel like I will need to. I feel like the secretarial administrative field is changing and it's narrowing because we're having a generational shift. When I first started off as a secretary, there were bosses who barely understood computers and they were terrified of them. And that was back in my first admin jobs were on those AS400s with the black screen and the green letters like you see in really old hackers type movies. And then we thought we were super modern when we had Lotus 123 and WordPerfect on those big, huge, clunky monitors. And there were not really, I mean, cell phones were like that big and nobody really had them. Smartphones were a twinkle in somebody's eye, maybe. Email was very simple and primitive. And I was working in the clerical field for years before websites started popping up in my area. I was lucky enough way back when that my work had a computer buyout. Like if they got rid of old computers, you could buy one. And so I had an early computer, but I didn't have internet initially. I just used it to do my resume and type things up and do things at home. And it wasn't until I got married and moved to Chattanooga, so around 1995, 97, and I think it was 95, 97, we got our first computer that actually did internet, and you had the modem and all of that. So I've been doing clerical work since, in its primitive days for me, since 1998, and so I've evolved with all of that technology. And I always felt I was ahead of a lot of other people, but 1990, so you're looking at 30 years. You're looking at 30 years. Students have grown up since they were a little bitty baby with technology now. There are 30-year-olds. There are 30-year-olds who grew up all their life with that. They're not even snot-nosed high school kids. They're not just out of college kids. They're probably married and starting to have kids, or married and divorced. So, almost everybody that's in the workforce, that has a pretty good chance of having some level of technology. Unless they've had very impoverished situations. And there is, there's a class divide between people who even have a smartphone and don't. Or people who have a computer and don't. There is a definitive class differentiation between that. So if you have any way of getting a desktop computer and having internet at home, it is much easier to do these job searches. It is much easier. And actually, if you have a combination of a smartphone and a desktop computer, it makes it so much easier because you can do some stuff when you're out in the field. You can do some stuff when you're home. But getting your stuff set up from home, and being able to see something on a large screen and have multiple windows and move data is so much easier than working off a little smartphone. I don't know how people who just have a smartphone do it. I would go nuts. I would go absolutely nuts. I would be tearing my hair out. So anyway, even all that being said, I was behind. If it were not for somebody who encouraged me to get a smartphone, I'd still be a Luddite and not have had one. So that I owe that person a huge debt, and they know who they are. But I went in there and they had a ton of resources. It was very useful. So if you only have a smartphone, get down to that job center if you're unemployed and take advantage of the huge amount of resources that are available. And And it might take a few times going to get everything you need, to learn everything you need to learn. And if you can't be down there, get on YouTube. Get on, oh, also, Indeed.com has a number of educational videos on the interview process, on how to answer interviews for different types of jobs, on what kind of interviews you should expect. There is a fella out there, and I cannot remember his name. There is this guy out there who's teaching classes, and he showed up on YouTube, and he's done some interviews with various YouTube channels, the kind who interview people. And he had talked about you should be spending about, depending on the job, 20 to 30 hours on interview prep for one interview. Now you start magnifying that by, if you're selective, he was talking about it is much better to try to know someone at the company who can personally hand a resume to somebody. If you know somebody who works for the company, somebody to just basically vouch that you're not a total idiot, that you're responsible, that you're ethical, that you have a good work ethic. Excuse me. That's very, I'm gonna have to get a drink of water because my mouth just dried out. It has been very dry. It's supposed to rain tonight, but the air is super low humidity right now, so I've just been drinking water all day. Okay. So, I have this stack of stuff that I need to learn, and I need to apply my 5 jobs by Sunday. I am freaking out in my pants, folks. I have so much work I have to do ahead of me, and I have not been posting as often on YouTube. I've been throwing out the occasional cats playing video because I just really did not have the emotional energy to take away from finishing out my job to focus on that. And I've been dying to get out in my garden. I've been dying to mow, but I just have been shut down. So I have to get caught up on this job search. I have all of this research. I will say I've spent the past 6 months or so studying my Cal Newport books. And if you've not heard of Cal Newport, you need to check out his podcast. You need to check out his books. Between him and the Andrew Huberman Labs, I think those are my two favorite ones that I've spent the winter studying on my free time. I have really been on a micro-learning jag through YouTube because of the explosion of content that can help you build your life skills. And if you look at the you can listen to his podcast and kind of get a feel for his stuff and figure out which books would be of most interest. I think I've got all of his books except one, and I kind of just jump between them and listen to his podcast. But I bought some of them new, I bought some of them used, because I felt like I normally don't buy books new, but I felt like that he made such a huge contribution to my knowledge base and gave me such a great sense of direction, especially his information on time blocking, that I felt guilty if I didn't buy some of his books new. So I went ahead and, threw $100 at Barnes and Noble to snag up a few of his books that I didn't have yet. And so I've been going through those. There is another book that Cal Newport recommended that when I looked at his goat path of how he got to where he was and what readers he read, there was a book called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And it really, the reason I like to hyper focus is because if I don't, I am all over the place. Everything's interesting to me. I love learning, and I have a hard time focusing and not getting distracted. So that really helped me to between that and the time blocking, it really helped me to say, what's my prime directive? I get all Star Trek on it of what's my prime directive? What is the one thing I need to do today? What is the most important thing? And I try to put that at the beginning of the day. And that's really helped me with this whole job process. It's helped me to frog march my way through this entire process. And this is at 30 minutes. I'm sitting here looking at the time. So I feel like this is a huge enough contribution. I am sorry I've been so long-winded. I am waiting to take care of a couple of other things. I want to get caught up with unemployment and all that stuff. I want to have some of that money rolling in before I invest in the video editing software I want to get this year. I'll let my old subscription expire. So when I do that, you will have, and I don't like my hair behind my ears, you will have better videos. But I just kind of wanted to update you. I think I am going to do a playlist on my unemployment journey. So you will get to look forward to that. I am going to have to try to balance out discretion. Oh, there's one more thing. Wait, do I want to say that now? I think my second video is going to be weird things I found on the job market, because I found some strange stuff with crypto and weapons manufacturers. Whole other ball of wax. I know that sounds weird, but bear with me. It'll be my next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.